Hi, this is Mrs. Kolonicki, and we're going to go over your quarterly review packet. Okay, let's start with the first question. First question says, 2 points are plotted on the number line below. Okay, so you see W right here, -6, and X to be 4. Now it says, which of the following has the greatest value? It means which of these choices is going to equal the greatest number. Okay, well, I have to replace what W is for -6 and what X is for 4. So I'm going to rewrite this first one. This first one's going to say -6 minus 4. And I'm going to do that for all 4 choices. First one's going to say -6 minus 4. Next one's going to say 4 minus -6. Notice I use parentheses here to separate my double signs. And the next two, I have -6 plus 4, and I have 4 times -6. Now what I have to do is I have to figure out what these equal. So in your calculator, you're going to find out what each one equals in order to figure out which one is the greatest. Okay, first one is equal to -10. Next one is equal to +10. Next one is equal to -2. And the last one is equal to -24. So according to this, my final answer is going to be choice B, +10. Second question, what is the value of the expression below? The value. Okay, in order to do this one, I'm going to need to use order of operations, PEMDAS. Which one do I follow first? Well, I see 2 operations here. I see subtracting and multiplying. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do multiplying, because multiplying becomes first in PEMDAS. So I'm going to do 6 times 3, and I'm going to get 18. Oh, forgot my 1. Here we go. And now I'm going to rewrite it as 12 minus 18. Okay, well again, in my calculator, I can just do 12 minus 18. If I had to do it by hand, I'd have to use LCI. But my calculator will give me the answer automatically, and that's going to be -6. So the answer for number 2, what's the value of this expression? The value of this expression is -6. So far so good? Okay, moving on. Number 3, the temperature at 6 p.m. was 15 degrees Celsius. The temperature dropped 2 degrees Celsius per hour. What was the temperature at 4 a.m.? So I have different hours. It started at 6 p.m. and it ended at 4 a.m. And then I have temperatures. It started at 15 degrees Celsius and it dropped 2 degrees Celsius per hour. So the first thing I need to figure out is how many hours that was. So I start with 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. How many hours is that? If you count them, starting at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10 hours. So my temperature dropped for 10 hours. Right there, from 6 to 10. 10 hours. According to this, it dropped 2 degrees per hour. Alright, so 2 degrees per hour means it's going to drop 2 degrees per hour. It means I'm going to have to multiply 2 times 10, which means the temperature is going to be dropping about 20 degrees. Okay, dropped means subtract. So I'm going to have to subtract 15 degrees Celsius minus 20 degrees Celsius to get my final answer. Again, in your calculator, that will be done for you, and your final answer should be -5 degrees Celsius. So question number 3, the answer is letter F, -5 degrees Celsius. Number 4, which list shows the integers in order, again, from least to greatest? Just by looking at my choices, I can already cancel out some, and that's helpful for you when you're doing a multiple choice question. If I look at this list, all the lists have the same numbers in them. I see negative numbers, I see positive numbers, and I see the number 0. Automatically, I can cross out 2 choices that don't have negative numbers first. Choice B and choice D. Notice they have the 0 first. And we know that negative numbers are smaller than 0. So these are out. The last two choices I have, one has a negative 8 as the smallest number, and one has negative 5 as the smallest number. If you think about money, owing somebody $8 comparing to owing somebody $5, owing somebody $8 is worse. So that is why negative 8 is going to be the least number on this list. So answer 4 is choice A. Make sure you have everything written down. Number 5. The table below shows the results of 3 plays in a football game. What is the net result of the 3 plays? Another word for net result is just sum. So all I'm really going to do with these guys is I'm going to add them up. And again, your calculator can add these for you. What I would do if I didn't have a calculator is I would add the positive numbers first and then worry about the negative number. Positive 12 and positive 15 is positive 5 is positive 17 minus 9. Again, calculator will do it for you. You'll get positive 8 yards. So after these 3 plays, you would have gained 8 yards. So number 5's final answer is choice H, 8 yards. Okay, you can pause the video right now and work on the next page. And you can play it as soon as you're ready. Okay, welcome back. Number 6, what is the value of the expression below? Okay, so again, I have to use, there's multiple operations happening here. There's dividing, there's adding, there's another dividing. I see some absolute value bars and I see negative numbers. We have to use PEMDAS again. Don't forget, parentheses also count when you're talking about absolute value bars. So even though these aren't technically parentheses, they're going to count that way when I'm talking about PEMDAS. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do what is inside these parentheses, inside these absolute values. I'm going to put some absolute values up here. Oh, there we go. And I want to do what is 48 divided by negative 6. That's going to, answer is going to go in these absolute values. Well, that's negative 8. Oop. Yeah. Here we go. And now I also have to do what is negative 35 divided by 7 and put that answer in these absolute value bars. That's negative 5. So now I have to do my absolute values. What is the absolute value of negative 8? That's positive 8. The absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5. And the sum of those two answers is 13. I'm sorry. That really should say positive 13. So please correct that on your paper. And don't worry if you were stressing out about it. It should be a positive 13. So that's my mistake. So final answer for number 6 is a positive 13. And again, error on that one. Next question, number 7, says when A is negative 9 and B is negative 6, which expression has a value of negative 3? This is really similar to one of the ones that we had done before. Again, I have to substitute in the value of A, negative 9, and the value of B, negative 6, into each of these expressions. So, here's the first one. A, negative 9, plus B, negative 6. So I'm going to write negative 9 plus negative 6 next to that first problem. Funny enough, the second choice is very similar to this one, except it's the absolute value of the answer. So I could just write the absolute value of negative 9 plus negative 6. Same thing. I guess we'll start on working on these. Negative 9 plus negative 6 in your calculator should get you negative 15. Now, what happens if I have... Don't even have to do the math really on this one. I just take the answer, negative 15. My final answer on this one will be positive 15. So again, none of them have the value of negative 3. So I gotta cross these out. These are not my answer. Now I'm gonna go into the third one. A minus B, negative 9 minus negative 6. Notice the double negative, so I use parentheses. In my calculator, I do that, and that will get me, negative 3, which is what I was looking for. So my final answer for number 7 is choice H. -9 minus -6 is -3, which is what I was looking for. Another question about greatest value. Number 8, which of the following has the greatest value? Again, I can't tell right now because I have all these absolute values. Absolute value of 3, well, that's just 3. 0 doesn't really change because I have no absolute values. The absolute value of -5 with a negative sign in front. Well, just the absolute value of -5 would get you 5, but then that negative sign stays with it. So this is actually equal to -5. My final answer for choice D is the absolute value of -4, and again, the absolute value of -4 is just +4. Which one has the greatest value? Here, it's choice D. Comparing 3 and 0 and -5 and 4, your greatest number is going to be 4. Okay, number 9. You record the daily low temperatures for 4 days at a ski lodge. What is the average low temperature? Okay, the word average means a few different things. To find someone's average, you have to add, here's your average, the word average. Oop, hello. The word average means that you have to add all the numbers up and divide by how many numbers you have. So on the side, I'm going to add up all of these numbers in my calculator and get -16. And then I have to divide by how many numbers I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. So I'm going to divide my answer by 4. And that will get me my final answer of -4, which is choice G. Okay. Number 10, I want you to skip. If you tried it, you should get 2. But we're going to skip that one for right now because it's not something you're going to need on your quarterly. Okay, moving on. Number 11. I have to write this as a decimal. How do I change a fraction into a decimal? That's something we learned. We have to divide. Okay, how do I divide that? I have to set up a division bar. Who goes under? Well, this says 2 divided by 5. Again, who's dividing who? 2 is getting divided by 5. In order to do this, what will help me is adding a decimal point and some zeros. Now I'm going to continue my division. 5 can't go into 2. I'll bring my decimal point right up. But 5 can go into 20 4 times. Because 4 times 5 is 20. I subtract, I get 0, and I'm done. My final answer is 4/10. Okay, final answer for number 11, 4/10. Next one. The thickness of a book is 1/5. If Julia has a stack of 48 books, what is the height of the stack? Okay, well, the stack is 48 books. Each book is 1/15. Let's think about our answers. Let's think about operations. We have adding, we have subtracting, we have multiplying, and we have dividing. Couple choices here. Is the height of my stack going to be more than 1/15? Well, I have 48 books, so yeah. Makes sense, right? So I'm not going to be using subtraction, and I'm not going to be using division. I want my number to be bigger. So 48 books. Am I going to be adding 1/15 and 48? Or am I going to be multiplying 1/15 by 48? Well, I have 48 books, and each book is 1/15. That's a lot of adding to do. Fastest way to do that is by multiplying. 1/15 times 48. Well, I can't multiply the way these are looking right now. In order to multiply, I'm going to need to change 48 into looking like a fraction so I can multiply these two fractions. 48 can be represented by a fraction by just putting it over 1. And now I'm going to multiply straight across. 48 times 1, 48. 15 times 1, 15. And if you really want to know what this is, you can just put it in the calculator. In the calculator, your final answer is 3